Hey everyone, hope everyone's doing well. This is the workout that I completed yesterday. It started out with some light squats, and I made those be sets with 315. I started out with doing sets of 3, but then this is where I had kind of the breakthrough with locking out my glutes at the top, and it made them feel tremendous. So I did 2 sets of 5 to wrap up. So I think it was like 2 or 3 sets of 3 and then 2 sets of 5. And you will actually be able to notice a difference in my squats in the beginning towards the squats in the later sets, with particularly how I stand at the top. So you see here as my rep looks fast, or this is 225, never mind, there's not many issues with this. So once I get up to 315, then you'll be able to see the things. So at the top of the 315 rep, if you're looking at it, you'll see that I'm kind of soft at the top. I don't really lock my hips out too much and lock my glutes out. And then as I go into my later sets, then I kind of have a more aggressive lockout. So like my hips are pushed forward a little bit more because I'm squeezing my glutes. That squeezing of the glutes helped stabilize the top of the movement and took away like everything that was bothering me before with my hips. So I definitely need to do that a ton more because it's just good form to do that, frankly, and it's, you know, it helped me to be comfortable doing squats. So I think same thing is going to be true on deadlifts. I did very few pulls today. It was I did these, some snatch work, and some push presses. Everything with the push presses was great. I hit a PR on those. Then I did some working sets at 185. All the cleans I did with them were no contact cleans, which felt good too. I also had the snatch work. I did a snatch pull plus a trachete complex, which if you don't know what that is, the snatch pull was extra, but essentially what that complex is where you do a snatch, then you do a snatch grip push press, then you do a snatch balance, and then while you're still holding it above your head, you do an overhead squat. So it's quite a bit on the shoulders, which is really good for me because I have weak shoulders, and I added the pull in because that's something I just wanted to work on, and you know, it's always good to get a little bit better at your strengths if you're able to. Push press stuff was last, or the very last thing I should say, was rows, and it was only up to 275, but I tried to do the glute thing at the top, and those felt really good, but the weight was so light that probably would have felt good anyway. Something I definitely want to try the next day I have deadlifts, and see if squeezing the glutes at the top is something that will make the deadlift feel a bit better. I have a feeling that it will, like I talked about in the last video. I don't want to harp on it too much, but definitely was a huge breakthrough I had with squats. So, and hopefully also with the deadlifts, and I think I do have some of those tomorrow. I think it will be a big thing. The other thing I wanted to touch upon in this video, for the meet, I know it probably won't be the most efficient thing for me to do as far as powerlifting, but with my focus being more towards weightlifting, I want to do all my pulling in weightlifting shoes. You'll notice here I have my old Addy Powers on. I went to the Nike store, which if you ever need like a Nike, if you ever have a problem with like a Nike product, they're really good customer service. At least my experience with them so far has been phenomenal. So the yellow shoes you saw me wearing for a while, I've had them since about September. I always felt like they were about a half size too big. I just never had time to really contact them and go and find a Nike store. Thankfully there's only one that's like 25 minutes away from where I live. Just about everything's about 25 minutes from where I live because I'm in a major city, or at least near one. But I contacted Nike and I asked them. I knew I wasn't going to get like a full return, you know, just send them back, and I frankly was surprised. I wouldn't have been surprised if they would have just said no, it's past the, you know, whatever time period they have established, because I've had it for a couple months. But I said, you know, I really like the shoe, I don't want a refund, I just wanted to see if I could do an exchange to get a size smaller. I was used to shoe, it's all beat up because, you know, obviously my feet have been in it and I've been jumping around with them. So if they would have said no, I wouldn't have been surprised or frankly mad at them. It would have just been, you know, normal policy. But they were like, yeah, you know, we want you to get the most value out of your shoe, so take it into a store and they'll do an analysis and then you can get an exchange or a refund. I was like, holy crap, I was like really surprised. So I went into a Nike store and talked to the guy who was one of the workers there, and said exactly what the guy said online, gave him the order number, and set up the online order. Didn't have to pay anything. They're gonna arrive tomorrow, hopefully before I go to the gym. If not, then I'll wear my Addy Powers again, which actually were really comfortable, so I don't want to get rid of those by any stretch because they're good to have alongside. I just feel like those are just, and it was like so slight that I think the half size smaller is gonna be like a perfect fit, because like the heel would kind of come out, or at least the heel of my foot would kind of come out a little bit. So it was just it wasn't enough to affect my lift, I don't think, but it's just if I'm gonna have the shoe for everything and want it for long-term comfort, I definitely want it to be like a perfect fit, and I think that half size smaller may be what it will need for me to be, because normally I wear like 11 and a halves, and that's what I've been getting for a while, but I think just a little bit tighter of a shoe is going to be good for me. I do prefer my shoes to be very snug if possible. So hopefully that gets in before I have my lift tomorrow, and hopefully those work out really well. But that's about all the commentary I have for this video. There isn't really too much else to add. Squats, and I mean it was just I was really happy with how this workout went because of the glute thing I figured out. And when you figure out something like that, sometimes it's both a good and bad thing, because you kind of get annoyed at yourself for not figuring it out before, but at the same time I'm very glad that I figured it out. So hopefully I can continue to make progress on the lifts and queuing them and doing everything I need to do to get prepared and able to hit some big numbers January. But this is the second day of the first week of the prep. I believe it will be about 4 weeks long, and it should be a good time. I'm looking forward to hitting some big numbers and just getting big in general. But last thing I will touch upon in this video, the knee wraps that I have on, the comparison to like an SBD, I would say that they're a little bit lighter than an SBD, a little bit more than just a cloth sleeve. It really depends on how tight you have them. I do see they're really easy to get on and off. You just have to like re-roll them up. I think they're actually easier to get on than SBDs. But you can make them super tight. Sometimes I do that. Sometimes you just wear them loose. When I was doing snatch work, I just made them a little bit looser with that. And if they're looser, they're more like a cloth sleeve. If they're super tight, then they're kind of like an SBD, but still not quite as tight, I would say, or at least as much spring out of them as you would get from an SBD. So it's kind of in between. They do a really good job of keeping my knees warm, and I really like how I can have them above and below my knee. I can kind of like customize how I have them on my leg for the different lifts, or at least at the different times, and I think that's a really nice thing. I actually have them on my shins right now, because one of the weird things I get from weightlifting is my outside of my shins, so kind of like where the fibula is, it gets really sore when I'm like sitting in the bottom of a squat. It's not enough to like affect me in anything, but I think just because I'm in so much flexion all the time, as you see, if I'm sitting at the bottom of a snatch or something, or just preparing for a lift, then it's just tight down there. So hopefully that's something that goes away as I build strength that area. But I'm gonna wrap this commentary here. I will talk to you all in the next video. Hope you're all having a great week, and yeah, that's it. So peace.
Thank you.